the first thing I saw. So I was at work, like I was at my part-time job. The first thing I see in my chat in our chats is a Gru meme by Brandon from the Second Look General show. And I was like, oh, what does this mean? And then immediately I was like, wait a minute, Derek Lalonde, because I knew like that is just the name that a lot of people have for him, because he has an uncanny appearance to Gru from Despicable Me. But Derek Lalonde is now filling the vacant role left behind by Lane Lambert, who is now in Seattle, I believe, as their head coach.
I would like to congratulate Derek Lalonde on the head coaching position with the Seattle Kraken in 2028.
Yeah. Dude, Dave Hackstall, it was Dave Hackstall before him, before Lane Lambert.
Also Steve Briere, our former, who also just got let go. So
tough. Sorry, pal. Okay.
Dave, what was your initial reaction to Lalonde being hired by the Leafs? Because let's hear you out there, and then I'll give you the counterpunch.
Okay. So initially, I saw what he looked like as a head coach in Detroit, and I wasn't too thrilled with what we were getting. But then I saw a message coming in from you that gave me a little bit of pause, and I was like, well, let's not judge him solely based on what he did, what happened with Detroit this past year, but let's also go back a few years and see the great work that he did on the bench for the Tampa Bay Lightning, who went to 3 Cup finals, won 2 cups, right? Like, he's a 2-time Stanley Cup champion as an assistant coach alongside John Cooper, right? And that did give me a little bit of pause. And then looking at some of the numbers, he was he their PK coach there, or was he their power play coach?
He was their PK. He was the PK coach.
And they had a top 5 PK for
still have it, yeah.
Still there, right? I mean, probably like some residue left over from him, right? I don't know if residue is the right word, but like whatever. The residuals is probably the better word from
residue. Sorry,
the residue.
I'm sorry.
Oh my god, good god. But yeah. So listen, I think I'm gonna judge Derek Lalonde based on the actions. I don't want to base on my preconceived ideas,
notions. Yeah, that's where I'm at too, Dave. That's where because I did see a lot of backlash to the hiring, and yes, it's 100% what you said about head coach versus an assistant coach. Some guys are just better in one role than the other, but I just thought as well to some of the names that we already went over. How did you feel when the Leafs hired Dave Hackstall? Not good. Whelmed?
No.
Okay. Guess what? Like the Leafs were still like a playoff team. They still improved defensively. Dave Hackstall didn't undo the Leafs. How did you feel about Lane Lambert being hired last year?
You know what? I had my reservations about him too. I think honestly we saw kind of what his tenure looked like in Long Island. And it didn't give me that much hope, but maybe, you know, I don't know if it started that hot, but especially down the stretch and heading into the playoffs, he was a big reason for why that PK was more successful. And it's probably been just as successful as it's been in years past. So
yeah, and I'd even say on the other hand, like maybe I'd say there's like 2 possibilities here. Possibility A, which is what we're outlining, is that like, you know, like maybe we should keep our preconceived notions preconceived, see how this goes, obviously. Or B, the assistant coach doesn't have as much of a hand in things as we think. And I actually think they do have a reasonable hand in things, but it shouldn't be the end-all be-all of your bench, right? Like, yeah, you should be able to overcome... like, I'm sure, like we said, John Cooper, I'm sure he's had assistants. Like, maybe Lalonde is propelled by Cooper as his head coach. Maybe that's part of it. We don't know. Let's give him a damn chance. That's I think, where we're at. So
that's fair.
That's all I've got on Lalonde.
The other thing I think it'd be very like it's just funny to mention is shout out to Sportsnet for giving that man two separate jobs.
How about you know what's crazy though is I know that I didn't get to see much of like his intermission hits because I was working a lot of the Leaf games and I'd be like editing during those intermissions. But I know people weren't like super happy, and it also didn't help that he was then followed up by Jake Allen, who I think got wishy-washy reviews as well, but Blake Wheeler killed it. So
100%.
tough act to go after you. Makes you look not as great. So there's that. B, remember he had the banger line when he was covering the Leafs Tampa series. I don't remember if it was
it would have been 2023, I think.
It must have been the second time around because he wasn't part of that team. Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you remember him talking about the Vasilevsky stuff when the Leafs were scoring all those tip shots? And he's like, when we were in Tampa, we looked at this, and that with Vasi, and we basically figured out this is what his weakness, and it looks like the Leafs are exploiting it. Like, that was awesome insight. So, I don't know. I think even people piled on for him just because he looks like Brew, and... yeah, I don't know. I just think there's good with bad with him.
I feel like the first time around, his insight caught a lot of people off guard, and it was a pleasant surprise. I feel like we just got a bit less of that, and there wasn't as much insightfulness. Maybe it just came down to the fact that he knew that team inside and out better than most people.
You're probably right.
Right? Now,
there wasn't a lot of Tampa for him to cover this year.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's tough because, I'll be honest, I wasn't the biggest fan of the second go-around, but I was a big fan of the first go-around. So I was like, so that's why I'm like, I'm in different positions here. I'm not too sure. Again, it is just kind of, it is quite a coincidence, I would say, that both times that you end up on TV, you end up finding a job within months of being on TV.
Usually goes like that for a lot of coaches. I guess it's just to throw a reminder in some GM's heads. I don't know, but he's a Sportsnet hire. Mark Savard used to do the Leafs post game on the radio.
That's right.
I thought he was really good at that too. So I don't know, Craig Berube, I guess watch out for Rick Bowness, or I don't know what other head coaches had a Sportsnet appearance, but
but Rick Bowness would have been. Well, we'll see.
I really hope I'm joking about that, Dave. I really, really hope I'm joking about that. Okay, we're
time will tell.
We're covered on the Leafs.
Only time will tell.